The galactic marketplace buzzed with activity, a kaleidoscope of colors and sounds that resonated through the shimmering atmosphere. Maria Santos stood behind the polished bar of the Cosmic Brew, her quick hands dancing over the ingredients as she prepared another round of Andromedan mojitos. The sweet, minty scent mingled with the faint trace of roasted Terran coffee and the heady aroma of exotic spices wafting from the food stalls nearby. "Hey, Maria," called out Zorak, a hulking Galaxian, his multiple eyes gleaming with anticipation. "Make mine a double." With a playful eye roll, Maria poured twice the usual amount of the green concoction into his glass. "You might want to take it easy, Zorak. We still need you on your feet for the asteroid races later." Zorak let out a hearty laugh, shaking the metallic ornaments that decorated his broad shoulders. "You worry too much. I need this energy for my victory dance." She chuckled as she slid the drink across the bar, relishing the warmth of the regulars who frequented her cafe. The Cosmic Brew was not just any establishment, it was a sanctuary for wandering souls, a gathering point for traders, adventurers, and the weary alike. Maria wiped her hands on her apron, her dark hair pulled neatly back. She had mastered the art of multitasking, serving drinks, remembering orders, and engaging in light-hearted banter, each task weaving her closer to her patrons' hearts. In this chaotic world filled with strange beings and unpredictable encounters, she found her resilience and calmness were her strongest assets. As she poured a fizzy Galaxian ale for a group of laughing luminarians in the corner, the familiar hum of the cafe was interrupted by a low, rumbling sound. Frowning, Maria turned her head toward the entrance, where bright sunlight streamed in through the open doors. The noise grew, a deep, thrumming vibration that seemed to vibrate through the very floorboards of the cafe. "What in the galaxy is that?" one of the patrons murmured, glancing toward the sky. Outside the entrance, the air shimmered as if reality itself was bending. Maria stepped away from the bar, her instinct telling her that something significant was about to unfold. She peered out into the crowded plaza of the galactic marketplace, her heart quickening at the sight of a massive alien spaceship descending. It hovered just above the center of the marketplace, an enormous vessel with sleek, iridescent panels that reflected the myriad colors of the bustling crowd below. The ship was unlike anything Maria had seen before. Its design was both beautiful and foreboding, a blend of art and technology that suggested an advanced civilization. "Is that a spaceship?" Zorak's voice broke through the noise, and an uneasy hush fell over the marketplace. Vendors stopped their pitches, and customers turned to witness the spectacle, unease rippling through the crowd. "Can't tell if it's a diplomatic mission or an invasion," Maria quipped, trying to maintain a light-hearted facade despite the tension that gripped her gut. "I hope they're not here for drinks. I'm all out of extraterrestrial vodka." A nervous chuckle rippled through the patrons, but the underlying anxiety was palpable. Maria's mind raced. She had heard stories of ships arriving unannounced, of cultures clashing, of misunderstandings that led to chaos. The landing gear of the ship deployed with a hiss, sending a cloud of dust spiraling into the air, and the ship settled heavily on the plaza, its engines powering down with a final, deep hum. Moments later, the hatch at the ship's belly opened with a loud hydraulic creak. A ramp extended down, revealing shadows moving within. "Stay close, everyone," Maria shouted to her customers, her protective instincts kicking in. She reached instinctively for the nearest item, a bottle of Nebulan whiskey, gripping it tightly like a tool of survival. The patrons slowly gathered around her, uncertainty and fear mingling in their expressions. As figures emerged from the ramp, gasps echoed throughout the marketplace. The aliens were tall and slender, their skin shimmering in shades that mirrored the colors of the ship. Their eyes, large and luminous, scanned the crowd with an intensity that sent shivers down Maria's spine. The leader stepped forward, raising an iridescent appendage to silence murmurs and gasps. "Inhabitants of this world," the being began, its voice echoing melodically but with an undercurrent of authority, "we come not as conquerors, but seekers of unity." Maria's heart raced. This was it. This was the moment where calmness would either prevail or slip into chaos. She exchanged glances with her customers. Zorak raised his drink as if to brace himself. The luminarians clutched each other, while others nervously shifted their weight. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation, and for a fleeting moment, time stood still. "Unity?" Maria murmured under her breath, her mind racing. "Or just another ploy?" The alien continued, "We seek knowledge of your ways, and in return, we offer trade and peace." In that instant, an idea sparked in Maria's mind, a question that could change everything. She was a bartender, a bridge between worlds. What if she could do something that would connect them beyond mere words? What if she could use her craft to foster understanding? With the weight of countless galaxies resting on her shoulders, she stepped forward. "What do you drink?" Maria asked, her voice steady despite the fluttering in her chest. The crowd fell silent, eyes wide, hearts pounding. The alien leader paused, visibly intrigued. Maria's question hung in the air, a thread connecting the unknown with the familiar. Would it be enough to bridge the gap between two worlds, or would it be the beginning of an unexpected conflict unfolding before them? As her heart raced with uncertainty, she realized she had taken the first step into uncharted territory, one that would lead to both challenges and revelations. The stakes were high, but in that moment, Maria felt an undeniable surge of hope. Perhaps in this chaotic universe, simple questions could pave the way for unimaginable peace. And with that thought, the future loomed before her, uncertain, yet thrilling, ready to unfold with every sip served at the cosmic brew. As the hatch of the ship fully opened, a figure emerged, stepping down the ramp with a deliberate grace. It was Nox, a Zektar, his skin shimmering a deep emerald hue that seemed to ripple with energy under the sunlight. His body was slender yet muscular, and his multiple limbs moved with an elegance that belied the bulk of his impressive stature. Maria's breath caught in her throat. He was strikingly different yet strangely captivating. The crowd remained frozen in a mix of awe and apprehension, but Maria felt an odd tug of curiosity. She took a step forward, her grip on the Nebulan whiskey loosening slightly. "What do you want?" she called out, her voice steady despite the tension crackling in the air. Nox paused, his large, expressive eyes scanning the gathered crowd before settling on Maria. "I seek a beverage," he replied, his voice smooth and melodic, though tinged with an accent that hinted at his alien origins. "A drink that is essential for my survival." "Survival?" Maria echoed, her brow arching with intrigue. "What do you mean?" He stepped closer, his eyes softening as they met hers. "My body craves a liquid known as Zilphic. It is vital for the Zektar. Without it, we perish." He shifted, his multiple limbs folding into a more relaxed stance. "I know it is considered repugnant by your kind, but for us, it is life." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Maria could sense the unease, the instinctive discomfort humans felt when faced with something so foreign. Yet, her heart swelled with empathy. "What is it made of?" she asked, genuinely curious. Nox hesitated, his expression momentarily clouded with uncertainty. "It is derived from the bioluminescent flora of my home planet, Zektara. The taste is unique." His gaze shifted, taking in the eclectic mix of patrons at the cosmic brew, their faces reflecting a blend of skepticism and intrigue. "I'm not sure we have that here," Maria said thoughtfully, "but I could try to make something similar." "Why would you do this?" Nox queried, tilting his head slightly, his curiosity evident. "Your people fear us. Why help?" She shrugged, a small smile breaking through the tension. "Because I believe we can learn from each other. And besides," she lowered her voice conspiratorially, "I'm a bartender. It's my job to make people feel welcome, even if they're from another planet." A flicker of a smile crossed Nox's face, a rare sight that seemed to lighten the atmosphere. "Then I accept your offer. But be warned, what you create must contain the essence of Zilphic." Maria nodded resolutely. "I'll do my best." She turned back to the bar, her mind racing through possibilities. "What kind of flavors does it have?" "Sweet, yet earthy. A hint of brightness, like the stars reflecting on a calm ocean," he replied, his eyes lighting up as he spoke. "It is nourishing and revitalizing." As Maria began to gather ingredients, she felt the eyes of the crowd upon them, a mix of skepticism and intrigue. She grabbed a small jar of Terran honey and a handful of mint leaves, hoping to capture that sweet and earthy essence Nox described. "How about this for starters?" she asked, blending the honey with tropical fruit juice to create a base. Nox watched intently, his eyes narrowing with interest. "The sweetness is suitable, but it is missing the depth. You must include a component that resonates with your world's earthiness." Maria glanced around, her mind racing. "Okay, let's try adding some roasted nuts. They have a rich, deep flavor." She rummaged through her supplies, locating a bag of crushed almonds. As she mixed the ingredients, the crowd began to chatter again, the tension slowly dissipating as they turned to watch the unexpected collaboration unfold. "Why did you come here?" Zorak asked, stepping closer to Nox, his curiosity piqued. "Is it truly for a drink?" Nox turned his attention to the Galaxian, his expression serious again. "I came to negotiate peace for my people. Our worlds have been at odds for too long, and I believe a shared understanding can be forged through simple acts, such as this." He gestured to Maria, who was fervently mixing the concoction and ignoring the gathering tensions around them. Maria's heart swelled with pride and a touch of apprehension. "You think a drink can really change things?" "Understanding begins with conversation, and conversation often begins with a drink," Nox replied, his voice steady. "It is a universal language." As Maria finished blending the drink, she poured the vibrant mixture into a glass, the colors swirling in a mesmerizing dance. "Here goes nothing," she said, handing the glass to Nox. "Let's see if this resembles Zilphic at all. Just remember, it's not the real thing." Nox lifted the glass to his lips, his gaze locked onto Maria's. The cafe held its breath as he took a cautious sip. The warmth of the mixture rolled over his tongue, and for a moment, the entire galactic marketplace faded away, leaving just the two of them in a world of their own. He swallowed, his expression shifting through a range of emotions. "It is unfamiliar but intriguing," he said slowly, his voice thoughtful. "It does not replicate Zilphic, but it carries a spirit of hospitality." Maria smiled, her heart racing with hope. "That's a start. Maybe we can create something even better together." At that moment, the tension in the room began to shift. Patrons leaned in, curiosity taking hold. Aliens and humans alike began to converse, their shared interest in Nox's presence breaking down the invisible barriers that had long divided them. "Perhaps this is how we begin," Nox said, setting the glass down. "Through a drink, we can discover the beauty in our differences and find a path to understanding." The atmosphere surrounding the cosmic brew was electric, filled with energy and possibility. As laughter echoed and conversations ignited, Maria realized that this moment could be the catalyst for something greater, a bridge between two worlds that had long stood apart. "Let's keep trying," she replied, her spirit buoyed by the unexpected connection. "I have a feeling that together, we can make something truly special." And in that instant, amidst the cosmic chaos, Maria knew that the fate of their worlds might very well rest on the simple act of sharing a drink. As Maria mixed the last of the ingredients, her eyes flicked to Nox, who was observing her with a look of expectation. Just as she was about to pour the concoction into a glass, a piercing alarm shattered the ambient sounds of the cosmic brew. The vibrant chatter of patrons instantly hushed, replaced by a tense silence that hung heavily in the air. "What is that?" Nox asked, his voice sharp with concern, the melodic tone now replaced by urgency. Maria's heart raced as she glanced around the crowded bar. The alarm blared again, a mechanical voice echoing throughout the galactic marketplace. "Attention! Attention! Hostile forces detected approaching the galactic marketplace. All vendors and patrons are advised to take immediate shelter." I repeat, hostile forces detected. Panic erupted among the crowd. People scrambled for exits, their faces painted with fear and confusion. Maria's instincts kicked in, her bartender's intuition demanding she take charge. "Everyone, listen," she shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. "Stay calm. We need to stick together." Nox moved closer, his expression serious. "What do we do?" he asked, his multiple limbs flexing subtly, readying for action. "The best thing we can do right now is barricade the entrances and ensure everyone is safe," Maria replied, rallying her thoughts quickly. "Zorak, help me with these tables." She motioned to the nearby tables, her mind already working on a plan. The Galaxian bartender, Zorak, nodded, his jovial demeanor replaced with determination. He moved to help her, shoving tables against the entrance as Maria coordinated others to assist. Her heart pounded, but she felt a surge of adrenaline pushing her forward. This was her cafe, her sanctuary, and she wouldn't allow it to be overrun. As they worked, Maria's mind raced over what she had heard in passing conversations, rumors of a hostile alien faction known as the Firaxi. They were notorious for raiding marketplaces, seeking to hoard resources and technology. She glanced at Nox, who stood poised, his emerald skin glinting under the overhead lights. "Do you know anything about the Firaxi?" she asked, her voice low to avoid causing further panic. "Yes," Nox replied, a frown creasing his forehead. "They are a brutal species known for their ruthless tactics. They seek valuable resources to fuel their expansion. We must protect everyone here, especially from their greed." Maria nodded, the gravity of their situation settling in. "We need to find a way to defend the cafe. Do you have any ideas?" Nox's eyes narrowed thoughtfully. "Zektar technology is advanced, but it is not designed for warfare. However, I can create a distraction. If you can access the supply room, you may find items we can use." "All right, let's do it." Maria turned to Zorak and the others who were still barricading the entrance. "I'll be right back. Keep everyone safe." As she dashed to the back of the cafe, her mind raced. The supply room was cramped, filled with boxes and ingredients. She rummaged through the clutter, looking for anything that could serve as a makeshift weapon or distraction. A glimmer caught her eye: a box of flash grenades, leftovers from a previous event meant to create an exaggerated light show for a celebration. Perfect. She grabbed the box and headed back toward the main area of the cosmic brew, her heart pounding with each step. As she approached, she caught Nox in conversation with Zorak. "We will create a diversion," Nox was saying, his voice steady. "While they are distracted, we can secure the exits." "Good idea," Maria chimed in, holding up the box of grenades. "These should help us divert their attention." Zorak's eyes widened. "Are those safe?" "Safe enough," Maria replied, shrugging, "but we have to use them strategically." "Nox, do you think you can create a sound that will draw them to one side of the cafe?" Nox nodded, his eyes narrowing in concentration. "I can emit a frequency that will resonate through the marketplace. It should attract their attention long enough for us to execute our plan." "Then let's do it," Maria said, adrenaline coursing through her veins. "Zorak, help me set these up near the entrance." While they arranged the grenades, Knox closed his eyes, his body becoming still as he focused on the task at hand. Maria could see the energy building around him, a tangible aura that made the hair on her arms stand on end. "Ready?" Knox said, opening his eyes to meet hers. "Ready," she affirmed, her voice steady. Zorak positioned himself near the entrance, and Maria held her breath. "Now," Knox commanded, his voice resonating with authority. He unleashed a low-frequency hum that reverberated through the bar, creating a pulse that thrummed with energy. The lights flickered, and Maria could see the confusion on the faces of the patrons as they turned toward the sound. Curiosity piqued. With a quick flick of her wrist, she activated the flash grenades, and a series of bright lights erupted from the entrance, bathing the cafe in dazzling colors. The effect was immediate. The hostile aliens, who had been approaching, halted in their tracks, eyes wide with surprise. Confusion spread among them as they looked toward the source of the noise and the flashing lights. "Now!" Maria shouted, and she, Zorak, and Knox hurried to barricade the entrance more securely, using the momentary distraction to strengthen their defenses. As the initial chaos settled into a tense stillness, Maria's heart raced with a mixture of fear and determination. They had bought themselves some time, but the real battle was yet to come. "What's next?" she asked, looking to Knox for guidance. "We must prepare," Knox replied, his voice calm amidst the uncertainty. "If they are drawn in, we may have to negotiate or defend ourselves further. But we cannot abandon this place or its people." The stakes had escalated dramatically. Maria felt the weight of responsibility settling upon her shoulders, but she also felt a surge of resolve. "No one gets hurt in my cafe," she declared, her voice strong. "We'll protect our home, together." And in that moment, Maria realized that this unlikely alliance with Knox, a being from another world, was not just about survival. It was about forging connections that transcended species and cultures, about standing together against a threat that could tear them apart. With newfound determination, she turned to her patrons, ready to fight for her home and for the future they were all beginning to build together. As Maria clutched the box of flash grenades, she felt a surge of determination coursing through her. "Knox, we should use these to create confusion," she suggested, her voice steady despite the adrenaline pumping through her veins. "If we can get the Firaxi to focus on the noise and lights, we can secure the exits without a direct confrontation." Knox's expression shifted to one of skepticism. "You propose a distraction," he said, his voice calm yet laced with doubt. "But we have access to advanced Zektar technology. Shouldn't we leverage that instead? A direct approach might yield quicker results." Maria shook her head, feeling the weight of her experience as a bartender who had managed more than her share of rowdy customers. "Knox, listen. I've worked in this cafe for years. The best way to handle a chaotic situation is to redirect the chaos, not to confront it head-on. Trust me, a well-timed distraction can give us the upper hand." Knox crossed his arms, his multiple limbs flexing with a slight tension. "But the Firaxi are not like unruly patrons. They are unpredictable and dangerous. That's exactly why we can't engage them where they expect us to. We need to think outside the box, like a good cocktail recipe," Maria replied, her voice rising above the noise of the cafe. "We need to work together. If we combine your technology with my approach, we can create a plan that can work." For a moment, Knox remained silent, his eyes narrowing as he weighed her words. Maria could see the gears turning in his mind. The alarm still blared in the background, a constant reminder of the urgency of their situation. "Very well," he finally conceded. "Let's try your method, but I will prepare the Zektar technology as a backup if your distraction fails." "Deal," Maria said, her heart racing with relief. She needed Knox on her side, and this compromise was a step in the right direction. Maria quickly gathered the other patrons who remained, their faces still reflecting shock and fear. "Listen up," she called, commanding their attention. "We're going to create a distraction. When I say go, we'll set off these flash grenades and make as much noise as we can. I need everyone to stay low and quiet afterward. Knox and I will secure the exits." "Will that really work?" one of the patrons asked, a human with wild hair and wide eyes. "It has to work," Maria replied, her voice firm. "We need to trust one another. We're in this together." As the patrons nodded, a sense of unity began to build in the cafe. Maria could see that they were willing to follow her lead, a flicker of hope igniting in her chest. Knox moved to the side, preparing to emit the sound frequency that would lure the Firaxi attention, while Maria positioned herself by the barricaded entrance. "Ready?" she asked, her hands trembling slightly as she held the box of grenades. Knox nodded, his expression serious. "As ready as we can be." "Go!" Maria shouted. In a flurry of motion, she and the other patrons set off the flash grenades, the room erupting in brilliant bursts of light, accompanied by the loud cracking sounds that echoed throughout the cafe. The lights pulsed like stars exploding in the night sky, creating a chaotic spectacle. Knox emitted a low-frequency sound that resonated through the cafe, vibrating the walls and making the glasses rattle on the shelves. The Firaxi, lured by the unexpected commotion, began to converge toward the noise, their attention diverted. "Now!" Maria yelled, gesturing for the patrons to duck down behind the bar and the makeshift barricades. She could feel her heart pounding as she focused on the entrance, ready to spring into action. Just then, the double doors burst open, revealing a group of Firaxi warriors, their armored exoskeletons glinting menacingly in the flashes of light. They hesitated, momentarily disoriented by the dazzling display. Maria seized the opportunity and motioned for Nox to follow her lead. "Now we move," she said, rushing toward the nearest exit to secure it. Nox quickly moved by her side, his limbs working in perfect harmony with hers as they pushed against the entrance, preparing to block it. "Are they getting through?" Nox asked, his voice steady as he caught a glimpse of the Firaxi regaining their composure. "Not if we can help it," Maria replied, her eyes scanning the room for any signs of danger. "Keep an eye on the back. If they try to flank us, we'll need to pivot." As the Firaxi began to navigate through the chaotic light, Maria noticed a small group of patrons still cowering behind the bar, unsure of what to do. "You all need to help us," she called out, desperation creeping into her voice. "We need to defend this place." One by one, they began to rise, showing a glimmer of courage. A young man, his hands shaking, stepped forward. "What should we do?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Grab anything that can be used as a weapon," Maria instructed. "We need to be ready for when they come through." As the patrons began to gather makeshift weapons, bottles, chairs, anything within reach, Maria felt a sense of pride swell within her. They were adapting, responding to the situation with resilience. "Good. Now, let's keep quiet and wait for the right moment." Nox glanced at her, his respect for her growing. "Your ability to rally these beings is impressive," he admitted, a hint of admiration in his voice. "I see now that your methods have merit." "Thanks," Maria replied, her heart racing. "But we're not out of the woods yet. Stay alert." The Firaxi warriors had finally broken through the initial confusion, their eyes scanning the cafe with a predatory gleam. Maria's breath caught in her throat as they began to advance, and she could almost feel the tension crackling in the air. "Ready," she whispered to Nox, who gave a curt nod. As the Firaxi moved in, Maria prepared herself for whatever might come next. She understood now that the clash of their methods, Nox's technology and her human ingenuity, would create a force stronger than either could muster alone. They were about to face an invasion, but they weren't going to face it unprepared. "Let's show them what we can do," Maria said, her voice steady. The partnership forged in the fire of adversity would be put to the test, and Maria was determined to protect her home, no matter the cost. As the chaos unfolded in the cosmic brew, Maria's heart raced, not just from fear but from an unexpected exhilaration. The patrons, a mosaic of species from across the galaxy, huddled together, their faces reflecting both terror and determination. This was no longer just a cafe, it was becoming a sanctuary, a melting pot of survival. "Keep your heads down and stay quiet," Maria shouted, her voice cutting through the confusion. She could feel the palpable tension in the air, a shared anxiety that transcended their differences. As the blinding flashes of the grenades illuminated the cafe, Maria took a moment to soak in the scene. She saw a group of Arcanites, their elongated limbs curled protectively around their younglings, while a cluster of Terrans and Zektars stood shoulder to shoulder, eyes darting toward the entrance. This was a unique alliance forged by desperation. Nox, now positioned near the back of the cafe, adjusted the settings on his Zektar technology. His deep green skin shimmered with intensity, a visual reminder of the alien technology he wielded. "The frequency is set," he announced, his voice steady. "When they enter, I can create a sound pulse that will disorient them." "Good," Maria replied, her confidence bolstered by the unity she observed. "But we need to keep this chaotic long enough for everyone to escape. We can't just rely on your tech alone." "Understood." Nox nodded, his multiple limbs working in tandem as he fine-tuned the device. In this moment, Maria saw not just a partner but a teammate willing to adapt to her approach, a necessary evolution in their relationship. A faint rumble shook the cafe as more Firaxi warriors pressed against the barricaded entrance, their armored exoskeletons grinding against each other. The moment of truth was approaching. "Get ready," Maria whispered urgently to the patrons around her. "When I give the signal, we all need to move." Sweat trickled down her forehead as she focused on the entrance. The noise of the grenades gradually began to fade, replaced by the low murmur of the Firaxi outside, their guttural voices vibrating through the walls. Maria's mind raced, recalling her bartending experience, how she had often calmed rowdy patrons with a well-timed joke or a clever drink. She took a deep breath, channeling that same energy into her leadership. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed as the Firaxi pushed through the doors, momentarily blinded by the remnants of the flash grenades. "Now!" Maria shouted. Nox activated his device, releasing a pulsing sound wave that reverberated through the cafe. The Firaxi staggered, their eyes wide with confusion. Maria seized the moment. "Everyone, out the back," she yelled, waving her arms to lead the way. The patrons moved in a frantic but organized rush, driven by the fear of the invaders now inside their refuge. As she ushered the last few patrons toward the back exit, she caught sight of a Firaxi warrior regaining its composure. It turned and spotted her. "Human," it growled, its voice deep and menacing. "Go, now," Maria urged, shoving a small Arcanite child ahead of her. The child's wide eyes were filled with terror, but Maria held on to the hope that they could escape. She turned just as the Firaxi lunged toward her, its limbs moving with a speed that belied its size. In one swift motion, Maria grabbed a bottle from the bar, a bottle of strong Andromedan liquor. She hurled it at the Firaxi, the glass shattering and sending a spray of liquid across its visor. The warrior reeled back, howling in surprise. "Keep going," she shouted to the others, adrenaline pushing her forward. "Maria!" Nox's voice cut through the chaos. He was at the ready with another device, positioning it to create a barrier. "I can hold them off for a moment longer. Get everyone to safety." "No, we can't leave you," she insisted, feeling a surge of panic. "Trust me," he replied, his voice firm. "I'll be right behind you." With one last look at her ally, she turned and sprinted toward the exit. The cafe was now a whirlwind of noise and chaos. The patrons were pouring out, driven by the urgency Nox and Maria had created together. They were unified in their goal, survival. As Maria dashed outside, the cool air hit her like a wave, a stark contrast to the heat of the cafe. She quickly scanned the surroundings, taking in the sight of the galactic marketplace, where other aliens were fleeing in similar panic. "Over here," she shouted, motioning for everyone to gather in a nearby alley, where they would be out of sight of the cafe's entrance. Once they were hidden, Maria felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. She counted the faces around her, each one marked with fear but also determination. "We're not done yet," she said, her voice steady. "We need to regroup and figure out our next move." Nox emerged moments later, his breathing heavy but his expression resolute. "They're confused but not defeated. We have a limited time before they regroup and come after us. Then we need to act fast," Maria replied, her mind racing with possibilities. "What if we use that technology of yours to create a diversion? Something even bigger than before?" Nox's eyes lit up with the spark of innovation. "We could create an electromagnetic pulse, one powerful enough to disable their tech temporarily. It would give us time to escape and regroup with others." "Exactly. We can find a way to coordinate with the other species here," Maria suggested, her confidence building. "What do you need from me?" "We'll need some form of a power source. Something that can amplify the pulse," he replied, already calculating the logistics in his mind. "A generator. There's one in the back of the cafe," Maria recalled. "If we can reach it, we can use it to power your device. Then we go back," Nox said, determination evident in his tone. As they prepared to head back into the chaos, Maria felt a sense of unity among the diverse patrons around her. The fear that had initially gripped them now transformed into a collective resolve. They were no longer just survivors, they were a team, ready to fight back. "Let's show them what we're made of," Maria declared, her voice unwavering. Together, they would face whatever came next, united by the strength of their newfound alliance. As the last of the patrons rushed out through the back exit, Maria's heart thudded like a war drum in her chest. She turned back to face the chaos unfolding in the cosmic brew. Firaxi warriors, their exoskeletons glinting ominously under the dim lighting, were stumbling toward her, disoriented by the sound wave Nox had unleashed. This was a precious moment, one she had to seize. "Maria!" Nox shouted, his voice strained as he manipulated the settings on his device. "We need to draw them further inside. If they get too close to the exit, they'll trap everyone." "Right," she responded, her mind racing. It was a risky move, but the stakes were impossibly high. She dashed behind the bar, her fingers skimming over the bottles until they landed on the bottles of Andromedan liquor. "What's more distracting than a bar fight?" she muttered under her breath. With a swift motion, Maria grabbed 2 bottles and hurled them toward the far side of the cafe. The glass shattered, sending shards and liquid flying across the floor. The sound was like a spark igniting the dry kindling of chaos. The Firaxi turned, their attention drawn to the new disturbance, their reptilian eyes narrowing as they focused on the noise. "Now, Nox!" Maria shouted, adrenaline fueling her urgency. He nodded, and with a flick of his wrist, he activated a secondary function on his device. A burst of sound waves erupted again, creating a jarring cacophony that echoed through the cafe. The Firaxi flinched, their bodies rigid with confusion. Maria could see the vulnerability in their stance. They were bewildered by the unpredictability of human creativity. "Let's keep them occupied," she urged, grabbing another bottle and hurling it in another direction. "We need to buy time for everyone to get to safety." "Agreed," Nox replied, a newfound respect flickering in his eyes. You've got a knack for this. Thanks, she said, her heart swelling with a mix of pride and relief. Just keep holding them off. They worked in tandem, Maria darting behind the bar, grabbing anything she could throw, while Nox adjusted his device, sending out waves that disoriented the Firaxi warriors. Each sound pulse created a moment of chaos, giving the remaining patrons a chance to escape. Suddenly, a loud crash came from the front of the cafe as more Firaxi poured in, their numbers overwhelming. The entrance was now a battlefield, but Maria's instinct kicked in. Nox, can you focus on the ones coming from the front? We can't let them flank us. On it, he said, his tone sharp with determination. She launched another bottle, this time aiming for the ceiling, which shattered and rained down glass. The Firaxi were agitated, their confusion escalating. It was chaotic, but within that chaos, Maria spotted a glimmer of hope. Nox, what if we amplify the sound frequency? Can we disrupt their communication? Nox paused, his eyes widening as he processed her suggestion. I can enhance the output. If I can create a feedback loop, it might create confusion among their ranks. Let's do it, she yelled, her voice brimming with excitement. As Nox recalibrated his device, he glanced at Maria, genuine admiration evident in his gaze. You humans have an unorthodox way of dealing with conflict. It's refreshing. Maria smiled, feeling invigorated by the compliment. Just like mixing drinks, right? You have to balance the flavors to find the right blend. With her words echoing in his mind, Nox set to work. He adjusted the frequencies, and a new wave of sound burst from his device, creating a pulsating rhythm that reverberated through the cafe. The Firaxi's confusion deepened as they swayed, trying to regain their composure while battling the auditory barrage. Now, Maria shouted, bolstered by their progress. Let's push them back. Together, they charged toward the advancing Firaxi, Maria wielding her bottles like weapons of creativity, and Nox manipulating the sound waves as if orchestrating a symphony of chaos. With each sound pulse, the Firaxi faltered, their movements erratic as they struggled to understand the sudden aggression of the humans. But just as they appeared to be gaining the upper hand, one Firaxi warrior, larger and more menacing than the rest, broke free from the confusion. It moved with a determination that sent chills down Maria's spine. She could see its eyes locked onto her, a predatory glint that made her heart race. Nox, watch out, she yelled. Nox turned just in time to see the warrior lunging toward them. In an instant, Maria reacted, grabbing a nearby barstool and throwing it at the Firaxi. It connected with a satisfying thud, causing the creature to stagger back. Keep moving, Nox urged, desperately adjusting his device for a more concentrated sound wave. Maria glanced around the cafe, her mind racing. We need to push them toward the back exit. If we can funnel them that way, we can trap them. Agreed, Nox called back, determination washing over his features. They coordinated their efforts, Maria throwing whatever she could find while Nox unleashed a barrage of sound that disoriented the Firaxi. The cafe transformed into a chaotic dance of movement and noise, each second ticking away like a countdown to survival. Suddenly, Maria had an idea. Nox, what if we use the bar's layout to create a maze? If we can lead them in circles, we can keep them distracted long enough for everyone to escape. Nox's eyes lit up. That's brilliant. We can use the furniture to create obstacles. Together, they began to manipulate the furniture in the cafe, creating a makeshift barrier that would lead the Firaxi down a winding path. The larger Firaxi warrior, still relentless, charged forward, but the sound waves mixed with the chaos of the cafe provided a shield against its assault. As the last patrons fled, Maria felt a surge of hope. We're going to make it, she shouted, her voice echoing through the din. But just as they thought they had gained control, the larger Firaxi roared, a guttural sound that cut through the chaos like a knife. It was a sound of command, and Maria knew they needed to act fast. Nox, now, amplify the sound to its maximum, she yelled, urgency flooding her words. With a nod, Nox pressed a button on his device, the cafe filling with a deafening frequency that reverberated through the walls. The Firaxi warrior staggered, its massive form faltering as it struggled against the sound. Keep it going, Maria urged, her heart pounding. They felt the tide turning, the Firaxi losing their cohesion, their ranks collapsing under the weight of the chaos and sound. It was working. Together, they had created a moment of vulnerability, a chance to turn the tide. As the confusion reached its peak, Maria took a step forward, emboldened by the unity they had forged. Let's show them what we're made of, she shouted, her voice ringing with conviction. The final confrontation was upon them, and for the first time, hope flickered like a beacon in the darkness. They were not just surviving, they were fighting back, and now they had a chance to reclaim their sanctuary. The air was thick with tension as Maria charged toward the advancing Firaxi warriors, her heart pounding with purpose. Nox's device pulsed rhythmically beside her, sending out sound waves that seemed to resonate through the very bones of the cafe. She could feel the energy in the room shift, their chaotic strategy was beginning to work. The Firaxi were disoriented, their reptilian eyes darting around as they tried to make sense of the sounds and sights bombarding them. "Maria, we need to escalate this," Nox shouted over the cacophony, his voice barely cutting through the sonic barrage. "If we can create a feedback loop that mimics their communication patterns, we might fracture their ranks even more." "Can you do that while keeping the noise on high?" Maria replied, dodging a Firaxi soldier who charged too close. The alien warrior stumbled, momentarily confused by the disorienting sound waves. "I can try," Nox shouted back. "Just keep them distracted." With renewed vigor, Maria dove behind the bar, her mind racing. She needed a way to amplify their chaotic advantage. She recalled the bar's layout and how she had often calmed rowdy patrons with a well-timed joke or a clever drink. Maria had a plan, and it involved the very space they occupied. "What if we use the bar's layout to create a maze?" she proposed, her voice steady as she faced Nox. Nox's eyes widened in realization. "That could work. If we draw them in, I can use the sound waves to create echoes that bounce around the room, mimicking their calls." "Exactly. Let's make them think they're surrounded," Maria shouted, adrenaline surging through her veins. She grabbed a couple of empty crates and quickly set them up as obstacles, blocking off direct paths and creating a winding route through the cafe. "On my mark," Nox said, adjusting the dial on his device. The sound waves shifted, morphing into a deeper, more resonant tone. It was a sound that could almost be mistaken for the Firaxi's own guttural calls, an eerie mimicry that filled the air. "Now!" Maria yelled, launching another bottle with a practiced flick of her wrist. It sailed through the air, shattering against the far wall, the loud crash sending shards flying. The Firaxi turned their attention away from the main entrance, their instincts driving them toward the new disturbance. As they advanced, Maria and Nox coordinated their tactics, using the bar's layout to their advantage. The Firaxi, confused and agitated, stumbled over the crates, their movements creating a chaotic symphony of clattering armor. Each sound wave Nox emitted echoed off the walls, bouncing back and forth, disorienting the warriors further. "Keep pushing," Maria urged, her voice a mixture of excitement and determination. With every sound wave, she felt the tide of the battle shift in their favor. They were not just surviving, they were fighting back. Suddenly, something clicked inside her. This wasn't just about defending themselves, it was about standing up against an oppressive force. "Let's show them what we're made of," she roared, rallying the remaining patrons who had stayed hidden. "We can beat them together." A few brave souls peeked out from their hiding places, eyes wide with a mixture of fear and newfound courage. Maria's words sparked something within them. They began to gather supplies, throwing whatever they could find at the Firaxi, empty bottles, pots, anything that could serve as a weapon or distraction. Nox glanced at Maria, his eyes shining with admiration. "You're inspiring them," he said, a note of awe in his voice. "I didn't expect this kind of leadership from a bartender." "Just like mixing drinks, right?" she shot back with a grin, feeling the thrill of camaraderie. "You have to find the right balance." As Maria continued to direct the patrons, her confidence surged. She realized that this was more than just a fight for survival, it was a moment of unity. They were all in this together, a diverse group of beings from different worlds, now aligning for a common cause. The Firaxi, still bewildered by the echoing sounds and the unexpected onslaught of human creativity, began to falter. They were used to overwhelming their foes with sheer strength, but the humans and their allies were proving to be a different challenge. As the last of the bottles shattered, Maria felt a surge of hope. "Nox, can you give them one final push?" she shouted, her heart racing as she saw the Firaxi hesitate. Nox nodded, determination etched on his features. He focused on his device, the sound waves intensifying. The air vibrated as he unleashed a powerful wave that mimicked the chaotic sounds of battle, blending the voices of the patrons with the alien growls of the Firaxi. The cacophony reached a new level, causing the Firaxi to recoil, confused and uncertain. "Now!" Maria yelled, her voice cutting through the chaos. "Let's flank them!" Together, they surged forward, the patrons and Maria leading the charge. With Nox's sound waves disorienting the Firaxi, they pushed through, catching the invaders off guard. The Firaxi stumbled backward, their discipline crumbling under the unexpected human resolve. Maria felt a rush of exhilaration as she saw her plan unfold. They were winning, not just because of technology, but because of their sheer will to fight for each other. Each step they took pushed the Firaxi back, reclaiming their ground. As the last of the Firaxi warriors began to retreat, fear evident in their eyes, Maria caught Nox's gaze. There was a glimmer of understanding between them, an alliance forged in the fires of battle. "We did it," she exclaimed, breathless, as the cafe erupted in cheers. The sounds of victory mingled with the echoes of their triumph, a testament to the power of unity against adversity. As the dust settled, Maria knew this wasn't the end. It was a turning point. They had not only defended their home, they had forged a bond that could withstand the challenges ahead. But for now, they had one. The cosmic brew would stand tall, a beacon of resilience in the galaxy. And with that thought, Maria looked toward the horizon, ready to face whatever came next. The dust settled slowly in the cosmic brew, the remnants of the battle casting a strange, almost surreal atmosphere. Maria stood amidst the scattered crates and broken glass, the adrenaline still surging through her veins. The Firaxi warriors had retreated, their reptilian forms disappearing into the shadows of the galactic marketplace. The patrons, initially hesitant, now emerged from their hiding spots, faces lit up with cautious relief. Maria turned to Nox, who was adjusting the last settings on his device, the sonic waves finally quieting to a gentle hum. Their eyes met, and in that moment, a profound understanding passed between them. They had faced the chaos together, and somehow, they had emerged victorious. Did we really just do that? Maria asked, breathless, trying to comprehend the whirlwind of events that had unfolded. Nox looked around the cafe, a hint of a smile breaking through his usually stoic demeanor. We did. You led them, Maria. You inspired them to fight back. She shrugged, a mixture of pride and disbelief washing over her. I knew we had to do something. It felt like the right thing to do. As patrons began to chatter amongst themselves, Maria felt a flutter of hope. They had banded together, using their unique strengths to outsmart a formidable foe. It was a moment that transcended species, a testament to unity in the face of adversity. Do you think they'll come back? She asked, glancing at the door, her heart still racing from the encounter. Nox's expression turned serious. They might, but we've shown them we won't be easy prey. We need to prepare. Prepare how? Maria questioned, her brow furrowing. We can't just keep hiding behind makeshift barriers. We need to establish a coalition, Nox replied, his voice steady. If we can unite the various species in the marketplace, we can create a defense strategy. Together, we have strength. The idea struck Maria like a bolt of lightning. A coalition. You mean, to protect ourselves? Like a group of allies? Yes, Nox affirmed, his intensity palpable. If we can gather representatives from different species, we can have a real chance at standing against the Firaxi and any other threats that come our way. Your leadership has already proven effective. Leadership? Maria echoed, surprised. I'm just a bartender. Nox shook his head. You're more than that. You've shown them that even in chaos, there's hope. We need that kind of spirit in our coalition. As they spoke, the cafe slowly filled with the scent of spilled drinks and the chatter of renewed camaraderie. Various patrons began exchanging stories, each recounting their perspectives of the battle. Maria could see the unity forming, a shared bond forged in the heat of conflict. Let's gather everyone, Maria said, determination flooding her voice. We need to talk about what just happened and what we can do next. Nox nodded, his emerald skin catching the dim light of the cafe. I'll help organize it. We can use the back area to accommodate more people. Within minutes, the bar was transformed from a battleground to a makeshift meeting space. The atmosphere buzzed with energy as beings of all shapes and sizes took their seats, eyes focused on Maria and Nox. The diverse crowd of humans, Zektar, and other species filled the room, their faces reflecting a mixture of hope and uncertainty. Thank you all for coming, Maria began, her voice steady despite the gravity of the moment. We've just faced a significant threat together, and while we've won this battle, we know it's not over. We need to unite to ensure our safety and create a lasting defense. A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd, and Maria gestured for Nox to speak. I propose we form a coalition, he said, his tone commanding. We can gather our resources, share knowledge, and strategize for future encounters. Alone, we are vulnerable, but together, we can become a formidable force. A stout human male raised his hand. What about our differences? Don't we have conflicting interests? Nox stepped forward, his expression earnest. We may have differences, but our common goal now is survival. We need to set aside our past grievances and focus on building a future where we can coexist. A Zektar woman with vibrant blue scales chimed in. I've seen how your leadership inspired courage today. If we can harness that spirit, we can overcome anything. Maria felt a swell of pride at the words of her newfound friends. Exactly. Each of us has something unique to contribute. Whether it's knowledge of technology, combat skills, or understanding different cultures, we can use it all to our advantage. As discussions flourished, ideas bounced around the room. They talked about forming patrols, creating communication systems, and even establishing a council to address ongoing concerns. The energy in the room morphed from fear to determination, and for the first time, Maria felt the weight of their circumstances lift slightly. Before we wrap up, Maria said, her heart racing, I want to acknowledge something important. The bond we've formed today, it's more than just a coalition. It's a community. We're more than just individuals from different species, we're allies, friends, and family. Her words resonated deeply, and a ripple of agreement swept through the crowd. Maria noticed Knox looking at her with a mix of admiration and respect, the skepticism he once held for humanity now replaced by recognition of their shared strength. As the meeting concluded and people began to disperse, Maria felt a change within her. This experience had transformed her perspective, revealing the incredible power of unity. She glanced at Knox, who was speaking animatedly with a group of patrons, and realized just how far they had come together. "Hey, Knox," she called out, catching his attention as he turned towards her, a warm smile gracing his face. "Thank you for believing in me." "Thank you for leading us," he replied, his voice sincere. "I never thought I'd find such an ally among humans." As they stood side by side, watching the last patrons leave with renewed purpose, Maria felt a sense of hope burgeoning within her. This wasn't just a victory against the Firaxi, it was the beginning of something far greater. Together, they would forge a new path, one where diversity thrived, and strength was drawn from their shared humanity. The galactic marketplace was about to change, and Maria was ready to be at the forefront of it all. The stout human male raised his hand, his brow furrowed in contemplation. "What will this coalition really do for us? We're all different species, different cultures. How do we know we can trust each other?" His voice echoed through the gathering, a ripple of uncertainty sweeping over the crowd. Maria took a deep breath, the weight of his question pressing down on her. She had felt the same apprehension. "I understand your concerns," she began, her voice steady, "but look at what we just accomplished. We faced a common enemy together. The Firaxi didn't care about our differences, they only saw us as targets. In that moment, we were united in our survival." Knox stepped forward, his emerald skin glistening under the cafe's dim lights. "Trust is built through action. We need to establish communication and understanding. Each species brings unique strengths to the table. Together, we can create a framework for cooperation." A Zektar female, her scales a lighter shade than Knox's, spoke up. "What if we share our resources? The Zektar have advanced technology for communication and defense. We could provide that in exchange for food supplies and medical assistance from other species." Maria nodded, encouraged by the idea. "Exactly. We can set up trade agreements that benefit everyone. Imagine a food exchange where we share culinary techniques. We can learn from each other's cultures and traditions." The crowd began to murmur, the initial skepticism slowly transforming into curiosity. Athos Elder, his voice raspy yet firm, added, "And what about our young? They need to learn about each other to foster respect and understanding. Educational exchanges could be a powerful tool." "Yes," Maria exclaimed, her heart racing at the possibilities. "We could create a community center where we teach our children about our various cultures. Imagine them learning to cook together, or sharing stories from their worlds. This coalition could be about more than just defense, it could be about building a brighter future." The atmosphere shifted, a sense of hope igniting in the room. The stout human man who had questioned them nodded slowly, his skepticism giving way to contemplation. "Okay, I see your point, but how do we start?" Knox smiled, his multiple limbs gesturing animatedly. "We can form committees. Each species can send representatives to discuss their needs and strengths. We can organize a festival, a celebration of our diversity. It will be a chance for all of us to come together, share our customs, and lay the groundwork for our coalition." The idea of a festival sparked excitement in the crowd. Maria could see faces lighting up, imaginations igniting. "And we can invite everyone from the galactic marketplace. The more people we involve, the stronger our message will be." A Zektar in the crowd raised a hand. "And if the Firaxi return, what will we do then?" Maria's expression turned serious. "We prepare. We'll have a defense strategy in place, but we'll also have allies who can support us. We won't be alone next time." An elderly Zektar, who had been quietly observing, spoke up. "I lost my son to the Firaxi raids. I didn't think we could fight back, but you've shown us that we can. You've given us hope." His words hung heavy in the air, a reminder of the stakes at hand. Maria felt a surge of responsibility. "We will honor that hope. Together, we will ensure that no one else suffers as you have. This coalition is about more than just survival, it's about thriving." The room erupted in applause, the sound reverberating through the cosmic brew. Maria's heart swelled with pride. She had stepped beyond her role as a bartender, she had become a beacon of unity in a fractured galaxy. As the crowd settled down, Maria looked around at the diverse faces, humans, Zektar, and other species she had yet to learn about. Each one held a glimmer of hope, a shared dream of a safer future. "Let's meet again tomorrow to start planning our coalition and the festival. We'll need everyone's input to make it successful." Knox nodded in agreement. "And I'll work on reaching out to other species in the marketplace. We need to spread the word about our coalition and invite them to join us." As the meeting adjourned, Maria felt a sense of accomplishment wash over her. They had transformed a moment of chaos into a foundation for a new beginning. The Galactic Marketplace, once a place of division, was evolving into a community of collaboration. Later that evening, as she cleaned up the remnants of the battle, Maria reflected on the journey they had undertaken. The sounds of laughter and conversation filled the air, a stark contrast to the tension of earlier that day. She caught sight of Nox, speaking animatedly with a group of patrons, and realized just how far they had come together. "Hey, Maria," Nox called, waving her over. "You should hear the ideas they have for the festival. It's incredible how everyone is coming together." Maria smiled, her heart swelling with pride. "I can't wait to hear them. This is just the beginning, isn't it?" "Absolutely," Nox replied, his eyes shining with excitement. "We're building something special here. A coalition that will change the course of our history." As the stars twinkled overhead, Maria felt a renewed sense of purpose. They were no longer just survivors, they were pioneers on a path toward unity. The coalition of the Galactic Marketplace would stand as a testament to their resilience and strength, a legacy of hope for future generations. And in that moment, Maria knew they would face whatever challenges lay ahead, not as individuals, but as a united front. Their differences would become their greatest strength, weaving a tapestry of cultures that would redefine what it meant to coexist in the galaxy. With a final glance at the bustling cafe, Maria whispered, "Together, we will thrive."